One of the more interesting aspects about the duels on Geonosis in Episode 2, where Anakin and Obi-Wan would confront the Sith Lord Dooku, was Obi-Wan's lack of hesitation to throw Anakin his lightsaber so his Padawan could duel Dooku with 2 lightsabers. Within the context of the film, or the prequel trilogy as a whole, it seems like a confusing decision for Obi-Wan to make. Anakin was never known for his combat prowess when wielding 2 lightsabers, also known as Jar-Kai style within the lore. Not only did Anakin seem to fare better against Dooku on Geonosis when wielding only a single blade, but he would actually defeat Dooku 3 years later, demonstrating his commitment and abilities with the traditional single blade. So it must be asked, why did Obi-Wan decide to throw Anakin his lightsaber so his Padawan could use 2 lightsabers against Dooku on Geonosis, a move that Anakin unquestionably accepted? To answer this question, based on the Legends lore, it's necessary to look at the truth Obi-Wan recognized about Anakin's chances when dueling Dooku following his own defeat, and then Anakin's skills that were developed related to Jar-Kai prior to Episode 2. Let's start by looking at Obi-Wan's point of view first, and what he understood in the aftermath of his own duel against the Sith Lord. Given the tremendous difference in experience, skills, and knowledge between Dooku and Anakin in the realm of lightsaber combat during Episode 2, it wasn't likely that Anakin was going to defeat Dooku whether he used a single lightsaber or 2. This was more or less the conclusion that Obi-Wan came to, but as he was helpless to actually physically join the duel himself, he wanted to do everything he could to give his Padawan the best chance against Dooku. This was the basis behind Obi-Wan's decision to throw Anakin his lightsaber so he could engage Dooku with Jar-Kai. As Obi-Wan rushed Dooku during his initial duel with the Sith Lord on Geonosis, he immediately recognized his abilities were dwarfed by the former Jedi Master. Obi-Wan knew that compared to Dooku, his onslaught of attacks were exaggerated and inefficient, causing Dooku to merely rely on small parries and dodges to avoid them. And Obi-Wan knew exactly why this was. Not only was Dooku a great lightsaber duelist, but he was a master of the ancient combat style known as Makashi, also known within the Jedi Order as Form 2, which was far more effective against Obi-Wan's combat form. Even in the opening strikes of the duel, Obi-Wan could already see the brilliance of Dooku's Form 2 mastery. Because it represented the ultimate refinement of lightsaber to lightsaber combat, the combat form had produced the greatest lightsaber duelist ever seen within the history of the Jedi Order. Due to its reliance on precision strikes and well-balanced footwork, Form 2 was the definition of efficiency and elegance. Although Form 2 had fallen out of widespread use by Jedi in the centuries prior to Episode 2, given that it was believed the Sith were destroyed, Dooku nevertheless committed himself to mastering Form 2, considering it the highest of fighting disciplines. As seen within the Episode 2 novelization, all of this was recognized by Obi-Wan as he was dueling Dooku on Geonosis. It played out exactly as Obi-Wan knew it would, with the Jedi Knight's attacks missing entirely and his defensive maneuvers barely holding on against the offense of Dooku's Form 2. And in the end, Obi-Wan was fortunate to be saved by his Padawan Anakin. In the novelization, the timing of events happens a bit differently than in the movie. Anakin engaged Dooku with his own lightsaber for a few exchanges before Obi-Wan threw his lightsaber to his Padawan, whereas in the film, this of course happened at the very beginning of the duel between Anakin and Dooku, with Anakin starting with 2 lightsabers. Nevertheless, we get to see exactly what Obi-Wan was thinking within that moment, and why he was so quick to provide Anakin with a second lightsaber. Given what Obi-Wan had just experienced against Dooku himself, he knew that Anakin's lightsaber technique would never hold and stand up to Dooku's Form 2. As we just mentioned, Form 2 was the refinement of lightsaber to lightsaber combat in that it removed all techniques that weren't required, and it was the definition of simplicity. Obi-Wan saw this firsthand and concluded that Anakin would eventually expend a tremendous amount of energy in relation to the efficient Dooku, resulting in Anakin tiring and being cut down by the Sith Lord. Given that Anakin was not yet the Form 5 Gem-So master that he'd become by Episode 3, which would be enough to meet Dooku's Form 2 head-on in combat, Anakin was simply outmatched, with very limited odds of emerging victorious against Dooku in traditional lightsaber combat. Therefore, as stated within the novel, quote, Obi-Wan knew he had to do something. Given that he physically couldn't rejoin the duel himself, Obi-Wan did really the only thing he could. He used the Force to obtain his lightsaber and threw it to Anakin. Was this done by Obi-Wan because he thought it would give Anakin enough to surprise Dooku and overwhelm him? Not likely, as it was primarily a response to recognizing that Dooku was far too efficient to be matched by Anakin, and two lightsaber blades working together might at least afford his Padawan an extra blade in which to attack or defend, allowing Anakin to hold on for longer than he would have otherwise with a single blade. But the decision for Obi-Wan to provide Anakin with a second lightsaber wasn't completely unexpected either. It wasn't something that was totally random or unknown to Anakin himself. As seen within the Jedi Path manual, Anakin wrote that he'd been studying the combat style of Jar Kai, using the two lightsaber fighting form as an exercise for teaching him control. Even more, the Jedi Path made clear the sixth lightsaber combat form, also known as Naiman, was a foundation for the use of Jar Kai. And we know that although Anakin would master Form 5, he was also proficient in Naiman, which would have further assisted his skills when fighting with two lightsabers. Within the novel, Star Wars: The Clone Wars Wild Space, we see scenes where Anakin instructed his Padawan Ahsoka in the fundamentals of Naiman, having her complete 50 grueling repetitions of Naiman form, demanding perfection out of the exercise, where Ahsoka didn't merely go through the motions of Naiman, but was also centered in the Force. These scenes occurred only weeks after Anakin's duel with Dooku on Geonosis, and demonstrate that Anakin had competence in Naiman and the use of two lightsabers through the Jar Kai fighting style. While Anakin wouldn't be known for his skills with Jar Kai, his Padawan Ahsoka certainly would, skills that we've seen within the Legends lore be acquired by Ahsoka from Anakin. Therefore, this is another significant reason that would encourage Obi-Wan to provide Anakin with a second lightsaber against Dooku. Anakin was outmatched by Dooku in traditional lightsaber combat, and Dooku's Form 2 efficiency would eventually overwhelm the Jedi Padawan, but Obi-Wan must have understood that Anakin had proficiency in Jar Kai, and given he knew he had to do something, two blades was at least worth a shot. In the end, while Dooku would reflect upon Anakin's use of two lightsabers as merely a sad attempt to employ the technique, Obi-Wan didn't regret the decision. At the time, he admired the way in which Anakin utilized the two lightsabers against Dooku, working them in perfect harmony and with blinding speed and precision. And while it wouldn't necessarily help to defeat Dooku, it assisted in providing enough time for both Jedi to be saved by Yoda. So there we have it, why Obi-Wan wanted Anakin to use a second lightsaber against Dooku in Episode 2. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. You can find all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel in the description below for updates and even more Star Wars content. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me, for efficiency.